Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and to today's video we're going to be looking at another particular type of fur, this time looking at fur transitions. So this is going to be really helpful if you have like a black and white animal or anything that has like a different colour fur transitioning into another colour. The study I'm working on here is actually a black and white study. It's from my own reference photo of my cat Suki. So I'm just going to give you a few hints and tips about how you can do these fur transitions for this particular colour, but you can apply this to different varieties of fur as well. So the first thing I'm doing here is taking an embossing tool and indenting the paper to get these kind of flyaway wispy white hairs that you often find on top of darker colour fur. So in this particular study there is a clump of white and a clump of black, and then there's these like wispy bits of white fur over the top of the black, and the easiest way to get these in is to use an embossing tool. If you don't have an embossing tool, you can use a sharp white pencil or any other method. I'm going to leave a video in the description for you that actually shows you different methods of creating indentations in your paper like this. Once I've indented those fur lines, I'm then going in with my base layer, which for the white fur is a warm grey 1, and for the darker fur I'm actually going in with a warm grey 2. I'm using a warm grey 2 for the darker fur so I can distinguish between the different clumps of fur, between the white and the black. I could go over and add warm grey 1 into the black fur as well, but just for ease of use and to simplify this tutorial I decided to go in with a warm grey 2. When you're working with fur that's transitioning into each other, the easiest part to work on is the patch of fur that's underneath the area that's kind of laying on top. In this case, the fur that was laying underneath was the black fur. You can see the direction of the fur was coming from right to left, so the white fur was overlapping the black fur. So I'm going in first of all and adding in that black fur. For this, I'm really simplifying the black fur colours. I'm just going in straight on top of that warm grey 2 with a dark sepia, and I'm just really lightly shading that in. And where we do have that overlap of the white fur over the dark, I'm using some fur lines. I'm going to leave a link in the description for a video on how you can create fur lines as well. And I'm dragging the fur lines in the opposite direction of the fur. So as I said, the fur's going from right to left, so I'm working this particular pencil from left to right, so you're coming back into the white fur. That just helps to break it up a little bit. It breaks up that line, whereas if you work in the direction of the fur, you get this kind of pointed down, kind of sharp looking edge to the white fur rather than a soft edge. So you want to make sure that your fur where you're transitioning over has a nice soft edge rather than like this super blunt edge. So with my dark sepia for the black fur, I'm just making sure that I go over and over. I'm using a light pressure for all of this as well, and then where I do have some really dark areas I do go in with a slightly heavier pressure. One tip I would give you for your overlapping white fur where you do have these little wispy bits is to use a slightly thicker embossing tool or whatever tool you're using than the line you're creating. I made the mistake here of using my slimmer tip one where I should have gone in and used a bolder tip, so those flyaway hairs aren't as noticeable as I would have liked them. So learn from my mistake here and use a slightly larger tip than what you think you're going to need, because otherwise you end up with embossed lines that you're going to lose like I did in this particular study. So you can see I've kind of worked over the dark fur and I've got this white overlap developing. So now it's time to go in and develop some of the shadows and the colours within that white fur. So I've just gone in with a warm grey 2, and then I'm adding in some light flesh, some earth green, so some pink and green tones. I'm going to add in a little bit of brown as well, just developing the shadows in that white fur. But we're not here to talk about the colours that I'm using for the white fur. We're on about this overlap here. So to develop the overlap further and to get that kind of white overlaying the black, I'm working in the direction of the fur and using my white pencil of choice, which is a Holbein soft white pencil. If you don't have one of those, I really do recommend that you add it to your coloured pencil kit because it's really nice and opaque, goes over dark areas. As you can see, it's going over the dark sepia areas that I've added here really nicely. So I'm just using that white pencil to come in and add fur lines from the white fur over the top of the dark fur. So if you're following what I'm doing here, I'm first of all worked on the dark fur from left to right, so in the opposite direction of the fur, and then on the white fur I'm working in the direction that the fur is going from right to left. So making sure we've got that overlap there. So with that white pencil, I'm going in from the right hand side to the left hand side and working it like that. I've just showed a little demo there as well of using it embossing lines and how you can get them to stand out. I use the thicker tip here, which again, my mistake, I should have used the thicker tip when adding in the kind of wispy areas of the white fur on this particular study. I then go in and just show you how you can pick out some further white kind of intricate fur lines, and to help that overlay I'm using a slice craft blade. You can use this to etch away your coloured pencil in your darker area. You can use it the same way that you would use a pencil and create fur lines going in the direction of the fur. And to supplement this, once I have sort of etched out some lines, I'm going back in with some dark sepia to really define those lines that I have etched out. And you can also again go over those etched lines with a white pencil to really help accentuate them even more. And you can use the dark sepia method of coming back in and really accentuating white areas by going around your embossed lines as well. And you can even go around your white lines that you've added with your opaque white pencil if you're using that method as well. But you can see here that I do have an overlap of the white fur over the dark fur. You can see the direction of the fur, you can see it's looking really nice and soft and all of that jazz. If you want to follow along with this tutorial in real time with a bunch of other fur tutorials, then head on over to my Patreon or to my website. On Patreon, if you sign up to the Lion Pride tier, that gets you access to all of the fur library. There's a whole bunch of different fur things going on over there, as well as some full tutorials for you guys as well. If you head on to my website, you've got two options of the Fur Foundation library, which is £5 per month, or the Club Puffin, which is £12 per month. And either of those options gives you access to the fur library, but if you sign up to the Club Puffin, then you get access to all of my other tutorials as well. But anyway, I really hope that you found this tutorial useful and that you can apply this to your future pet portraits and wildlife work, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye!